SUVs have gotten so good at pretending to be perfect that it's almost impressive. But don't be fooled. Some SUVs on this list are disasters waiting to happen. A few of these 17 worst SUVs are surprisingly popular. They might look great at first, but their problems can leave you frustrated and broke. And here's the jaw dropper. One SUV on this list was so plagued with issues, it helped bankrupt the company that made it. You'll want to stick around to find out which one, especially if you're thinking about buying an electric SUV. Let's start with the least terrible and count down to the absolute worst. Starting at number 17, we have the Land Rover Discovery Sport. The British luxury brand is famed for beautiful vehicles that fall apart, and the Land Rover Discovery Sport is no different. Most notably, the Discovery Sport is known for having a timing chain problem, which kicks in at roughly 70,000 miles. There are also the odd electrical problems. More serious but less frequent problems include gearbox failures and faulty transmissions. As a result, Consumer Reports has given the 2025 model a predicted reliability score of 30 out of 100. As bad as these sound, that's not even why this is one of the worst SUVs. The 2025 Discovery Sport has an underwhelming driving experience. The 4-cylinder turbocharged engine is decent, but it is still a bit sluggish. It also has poor fuel economy of 21 miles per gallon combined. At a starting price of $48,900, you expect a lot more. The interior is also not as dazzling as competitors like the Genesis GV70 or Audi Q5. That said, the Discovery Sport is much better for off-roading than its competitors. However, it will lose 53% of its value in 5 years. Frankly, the only reason to buy a Land Rover is that you have money to burn, and that's also the only reason anyone would buy the next SUV on our list. At number 16, we have the GMC Yukon. Before we discuss why the GMC Yukon is a colossal waste of money, let's start with the good. This full-size SUV has a powerful engine and is fun to drive. It can seat up to 8 passengers and tow up to 8,400 pounds. The Yukon is great for on and off-roading. It has creature comforts like heated, ventilated, and massaged front and second row seats. You also get a 16.8-inch infotainment screen and massive cargo space. Now, let's get to the bad. The Yukon is very unreliable. One owner wrote, "I am not happy about all of the noises and repair work that has been done so far in order to attempt to fix them. Muffler replaced, alternator and serpentine belts, top engine cleaner twice." Other common complaints include malfunctioning infotainment and AC systems, hard shifting, and water leaks. Consumer Reports has given the Yukon a predicted reliability of 31. The car is also overpriced, ranging from $66,900 to $101,300. After 5 years, it will lose roughly 41% of its value. The Toyota Sequoia and Lexus TX Hybrid are much better alternatives. We want to love the Yukon, but GM has failed with quality control. This is a common theme with most SUVs on this list, especially the American and German cars. 15 is the Audi Q3. Like nearly every brand on this list, Audi has a history of questionable quality. The major drawback of the Audi Q3 is its abysmal history. Consumer Reports listed the 2016 and 2022 Q3 on its list of 60 used cars to avoid. There have been 16 recalls affecting their 2020 to 2024 models. Common problems include faulty electrical systems, turbocharger problems, rough shifting, and the rear-view camera not working. One owner reported, "The design inside and out attracted me to a test drive. I really wanted to love this car. However, I was quite disappointed due to the lack of power. I think my expectations were too high, considering the make." The Audi Q3 is a fine vehicle, but requires more frequent repairs than the average German luxury car. It will also lose 33% of its value in 3 years. The only good thing about the Q3 is that it isn't nearly as expensive as the next car. Number 14 is the Rivian R1S. The Rivian R1S should be the best SUV in the world. It is all electric, has loads of cool tech, and is perfect for off-roading. It also goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The 400 miles you get on a single charge are much better than those of a Tesla. Sadly, the R1S has terrible build quality. The cars have undergone 13 recalls so far. Issues include lights being deactivated at night and temperamental cruise control. CR gave this SUV a predicted reliability of just 9. Only one SUV got a lower score, so stick around for that. One owner gave a scathing review saying, "The quality is atrocious for an over $100,000 vehicle. Constant squeaks from the passenger side. A premium stereo that is embarrassing. It has been in the service center longer than I have actually been able to drive it. This vehicle starts at $75,900 and goes up to $115,900. At that price, you can almost afford 2 Tesla Model Ys. The cost and poor reliability of the Rivian are so bad that they almost make the next SUV look good." Taking the 13th spot is the Range Rover Evoque. You know an SUV is bad when its only good thing is its look. Yes, the Evoque is one of the most stylish-looking luxury SUVs, but everything else is subpar. First, the ride quality is poor. The Evoque picks up slowly from a stop, and then the transmission suddenly jumps. The back seat space is cramped, and there is limited cargo space. Other problems include a complicated infotainment system, noisy suspension, and the ridiculous price. 2025 Evoque ranges from $49,900 to $54,900. However, that's before additional packages that make the vehicle bearable. You can get a better deal with an Acura RDX or a Lexus NX Hybrid. Of all the cars surveyed, the Evoque has more 1-star customer reviews than 5 stars on Edmunds. Many reviewers labeled it a lemon. There have been 20 safety recalls for everything from software to airbags and internal structures. To make things worse, Evoque loses 55% of its value in 5 years. Besides poor reliability, this is a cramped, overpriced gas guzzler with a harsh ride. If you must buy a luxury SUV, check out this video on the most reliable luxury cars money can buy in 2025. At number 12, we have the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. The Eclipse Cross wouldn't have made this list a couple of years ago, but Mitsubishi has failed to improve its best-looking SUV. In a competitive class that includes the Mazda CX-50, Honda CR-V, and RAV4, the Cross is a dud. First, it has a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine with a CVT transmission. Small turbocharged engines are unreliable and will not last a long time. Despite the CVT, fuel economy is disappointing at 24 miles per gallon combined. The ride quality is also poor, as the suspension is too loose. At higher speeds, this compact SUV begins to shake. The only redeeming quality is its low starting price of $26,500 to $45. However, it feels even cheaper. One reviewer on Edmunds wrote, "Externally, the car looks nice, but inside, it is extremely uncomfortable to drive in. The seats will hurt your back. I am 3 weeks into owning it, and the plastic parts of the door handle are now coming off." Your reward for a poor driving experience and a stunted engine is 44% depreciation in 5 years. CR gave it a predicted reliability of 45. Still, that is better than the next SUV. Number 11 is the Ford Bronco. The Ford Bronco is arguably the second most iconic off-roader after the Jeep Wrangler. Sadly, both of these SUVs are on this list. While both offer exceptional off-roading chops, the Bronco is much better on road. It also has better handling and is more comfortable. However, both are costly reliability nightmares. The 2025 Bronco starts at $37,995 and goes all the way up to $90,035. You would expect an expensive SUV to be better built, but Ford constantly drops the ball. There have been 19 recalls so far. The most recent recall was for a problem with the battery that causes the vehicle to shut down while driving. One owner wrote, "I have owned the vehicle for a total of 3 months, and it has been at the dealership 58 of those days. The transmission makes a horrible crunching sound. The doors sound like they're about to fall off. Road noise is terrible, and the hardtop leaks when it rains." If you're looking for an off-roader, the Subaru Outback is much cheaper and more reliable. If the Bronco wasn't a gas-guzzling reliability risk, it would be a great car. Ford's poor reliability has destroyed many remarkable cars, including the next SUV. Coming in at number 10, we have the Ford Escape. For many years, the Ford Escape was a reliable family SUV, which is why many people still rank it highly. Sadly, those days are long gone. Sure, it looks better than ever, but that's only skin deep. Inside, the interior is bland and has a lot of hard plastic. However, the infotainment system is big and easy to use, and Ford has retained some physical knobs. Unfortunately, that's not enough to distract you from the weird transmission shifts and poor handling. In fairness, several things about this SUV that are decent. You get a lot of options with the engine. You can also choose from a non-hybrid, hybrid, and plug-in hybrid. The price range of $29,000 to $39,000 is also not bad. The real problem with this SUV is its poor reliability. CR gave the hybrid a predicted reliability score of just 21. That's because of the laundry list of recalls. The Escape has had a recall for nearly every critical component. While the price might tempt buyers to risk it, the Honda CR-V is a much safer choice. Like the next vehicle on our list, we hope to see the Escape recapture its glory days. Next up, at number 9, is the Jeep Grand Cherokee. So many people love the Grand Cherokee, and it's easy to see why. Its tough exterior still manages to be stylish and practical. Under the hood is a beefy V6 engine, and the air suspension offers a comfortable ride on long trips. You also get a great infotainment system and decent storage. But when spending the equivalent of a down payment on an SUV, you expect it to do its job. Unfortunately, most new HGCs spend more time in repair than on the road. In the last 3 months, there have been 3 major recalls, in addition to the 50+ others previously. One was for a sudden loss of power, another was for a fire risk, and the third was for a malfunctioning ABS. A longtime Jeep fan wrote, "In the last 4 months, it left my wife stranded on the highway with no power. Steering wheel does not lock. Memory seats do not work. Poor gas mileage. Been to the dealer more times than I care to remember." CR has given the 2025 model a predicted reliability score of 22. The GC costs between $37,035 and $74,670, but loses 42% of its value in 5 years. If you're desperate to waste money but have a smaller budget, the next SUV will do the trick. In the 8th spot, we find the Volkswagen Taos. Just like Jeep, Volkswagen has had a few rough years lately. As a result, the company has cut a lot of corners with its cars and left longtime buyers disappointed. This continues with the Taos. On paper, this SUV is stellar. It is a small SUV with surprisingly roomy interiors. It has great tech, a lovely infotainment system, and good fuel economy. However, 2 major things are holding this vehicle back. First is the questionable engine. Its turbocharged 1.5-liter 4-cylinder engine makes 174 horsepower and is paired with an 8-speed automatic. Unfortunately, the transmission is sluggish. You never know what you'll get when you step on the accelerator. The second thing is the price. It starts at $24,995, which puts it against the Honda HR-V, Toyota Corolla Cross, and Mazda CX-30. Plus, it loses 30% of its value in just 2 years. Volkswagen's terrible quality controls add to this. CR gave it a predicted reliability score of 24. Until VW gets its act together, customers will have many better options. Surprisingly, the same can't be said about the next vehicle. Coming in at number 7 is the Jeep Wrangler. Everybody loves the Jeep Wrangler. It has been a mainstay of back roads for decades, and it looks just as iconic as ever. Sadly, it is now more expensive and less reliable. With a price range of $32,095 to $61,405, you expect a lot from the Wrangler. In some ways, it delivers. It still has a rugged engine perfect for off-roading, plenty of style, and a decent infotainment system. Sadly, the Wrangler also has poor handling, cramped interiors, and a very noisy drive. It might be great off-road, but it is terrible on. Plus, it will lose 30% of its value in 5 years. However, given Jeep's poor quality controls, the vehicle might not last that long. CR gave it a predicted reliability of 27. Like the Grand Cherokee, it has also had dozens of recalls. This would be the second worst SUV on our list, if not for the lack of competition. Sure, the Toyota 4Runner is better and reliable, but it's not an icon. Unfortunately, no other SUV on this list gets that advantage. At number 6, we have the Alfa Romeo Tonale. This SUV is another instance of what were the manufacturers thinking? When it debuted in 2022, the Tonale was a hybrid, and people loved it. It has great styling, excellent handling, and a luxurious interior. While Alfa Romeo has retained most of these features, it is no longer a hybrid. Now, you get a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine producing 268 horsepower. That might sound impressive now, but it won't be when the engine breaks down in a few years. On top of that, it has a ridiculous price tag of between $38,530 and $57,185. Alfa Romeos lose up to 30% of their value in 1 year, which makes this laughable. Worse still is their poor reliability record. Consumer Reports gave this a predicted reliability score of just 30. The only reason why this SUV isn't higher up is because it is still a lot of fun to drive. But at this price, even the questionable Audi Q3 is a better buy. Still, it is slightly better than its sibling. At number 5 is the Dodge Hornet. Next is the SUV built to mimic the Alfa Romeo Tonale. It also has a powerful engine and comes in hybrid and non-hybrid options. It is a fast Ski AR, and Dodge is very proud of its work. Unfortunately, nobody cares because nobody wants to buy it. Why? It costs at least $33,180, has average fuel economy, and can't comfortably seat 5 adults. It is also more expensive but less reliable than the CR-V, Mazda CX-5, and even the Kia Sportage and Hyundai Tucson. One angry owner wrote, "Why am I paying $600+ a month for a car that I cannot even drive? Super frustrating." I told them they could keep it, and I wanted to trade it in on something else. Was offered $26,000. I paid $38,000 for it 8 months ago. What a joke! While many love the Hornet's speed and good looks, there is no reason to buy it. Its rivals are cheaper, more roomy, and more reliable. We won't be surprised if Dodge cancels it soon. Like what could happen to the next SUV on our list? Number 4 is the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. VW had a winner in the Atlas, but they overplayed their hand and created a mess with the Cross Sport. This midsize SUV is as unreliable as their other vehicles, but costs a lot more. The price range is $37,190 to $52,195, which is outrageous considering the competition. The Cross Sport is pitted against the Kia Telluride, Toyota Highlander, Acura MDX, and the Lexus RX 350. No wonder Car and Driver ranked it 27th in midsize SUVs, and that's just for non-luxury vehicles. That means there are at least 30 better midsize SUVs. As for reliability, one owner wrote, "Car would not start. pressed the start button 15 or so times before it started. The car would not restart after I stopped at a light and the auto shut off engaged. There is now a rattle in the passenger's rear door. All of this in 400 miles. Unsurprisingly, CR gave it a predicted reliability score of 24. The only surprise is that there are still 3 SUVs worse than this. In the third spot, we find the Jaguar E-Pace. When Jaguar decided to cancel the E-Pace in 2024, nobody shed a tear. While the SUV isn't bad, it was too far behind the competition. The major factor working against it was the price. At $49,500, it is more expensive than the Lexus UX, BMW X, and Mercedes-Benz GLA. While it was more stylish and luxurious than its competitors, it was much worse in every other category. The E-Pace is a tidy SUV with a subpar engine and jerky transmission. It has poor fuel economy of 21 miles per gallon combined, and the technology is shoddy. Plus, it had terrible reliability. CR gave it a score of 30, but that is pretty generous. In 2022, 40% of owners reported a major repair within the first year. That's terrible, even by Jaguar standards. If Jaguar hadn't discontinued it, the E-Pace would have been much higher on the list. But if an SUV is so bad that even the maker has given up on it, nobody should own it. If you are looking for a luxurious yet reliable SUV, watch our video on the 5 worst and 7 best SUVs to own in 2025. Before then, we still have 2 SUVs to go. Our runner-up at number 2 is the Jeep Compass. Yes, everyone saw this coming. The only question is, why is this ranked lower than other Jeeps? The answer is that the Compass is not an icon like its siblings. As a result, there is no reason to buy the Jeep Compass. It looks bland, has a stiff ride, and the steering is unresponsive. There is a bit of body roll when cornering, and the interior is cramped. One thing the Compass offers ahead of its competitors is off-roading. However, you'll have to spend $33,990 on the Trailhawk model. If you want off-roading, you're better off with the Subaru Forester. If you don't, there are many other better compact SUVs from Mazda, Toyota, and Honda. Even the Volkswagen Tiguan is better. To make things worse, the Compass can be lemony. As a frustrated owner said, driving down the highway with no other cars around, the cruise control randomly shuts off. At night, the headlights will change from bright to dim with no oncoming traffic. Wipers randomly start, and you can't shut them off. Due to its questionable quality, the Jeep Compass will lose 46% of its value in 5 years. The only thing the Compass can brag about is that it isn't the worst SUV in the world. That dishonor goes to... Taking the first spot is the Fisker Ocean. The all-electric SUV meant to rival BYD and Tesla was one of the most disastrous vehicles ever. It is obvious that production was rushed. That is why users reported malfunctioning electricals, jumpy rides, and confusing controls. Its driver assistance features were so glitchy that it became dangerous. As a result, the vehicle had 6 recalls and eventually resulted in Fisker's bankruptcy. The Fisker Ocean is an overpriced safety hazard that never should have been sold. The EV has already lost half its value, but it is still not worth the risk. While there are still rumors of a rescue, nobody should own this vehicle. The only thing the Fisker Ocean is good for now is a museum to study how not to make an SUV. So many SUVs have been ruined by poor quality control or unreliable engines. However, even more SUVs are ruined by poor driving habits. If you want to prolong the life of your vehicle, watch this video on 13 car maintenance tips mechanics don't want you to know.